Hey y'all, how you doing? Welcome back to the Intellectual Soapbox YouTube channel. And it's Tuesday night, so y'all know what that means. It's time for another conversation. So over here we have cozy conversations that feel like a warm blanket fresh out of the dryer. Or it could be the medicine you need, but with a spoonful of honey. So you get it both ways. Anywho, I'm your host, QB, and I have a very special guest with me tonight. Mr. Damon Thomas, founder, CEO, all that of Men of Courage Show, the Men of Courage Show. And so we're going to get into talking about men, all things men. It's like there's so many programs, so many outreach, this, that, and whatever for women, and society almost caters exclusively to women to a degree, and men get put on the back burner at times. Men are expected to man up. Like, what does that even mean, man up? You know, I hear this phrase, and I'm this trying to be too explicit about this. When people say "grow a pair of balls," well, actually, the vajay is stronger than. Anyway, y'all get where I'm going with that. So hey, do what you want with that. So anywho, without further ado, we're going to bring Mr. Damon in. We're going to start out with some introductions. Like, who are you, Damon? Where are you from? And then, how did Men of Courage come about? And what is your overall goal? What are your overall goals, your purpose, the mission? Like, give us all that.
Ooh, first, I want to thank you, Q. We go back some years. I appreciate you to the utmost. Thank you for your undying support over the years,
No problem.
Courage and myself. I am first a father, okay, of two phenomenal daughters. That's the first thing. I am also a man of God. I'm an author. I'm a ghostwriter, director, producer. I am the creator of Men of Courage Show. Men of Courage came about 12 years ago due to personal experiences
Okay.
of myself. Being sexually abused at 69 by two older women.
Okay.
And my first marriage of 15 and a half years, the latter 2 to 3 years were kind of, I would say, rocky, a lot of emotional, mental, and physical abuse.
Okay.
At that point, I made a vow that I would have to get Damon right first, get educated, form an awesome team across the globe to bring this program together. This has never been a one man show. I thank the Almighty God for first giving me the purpose and the courage and the strength to do this program and
Okay.
surround myself with awesome individuals from clinicians to assistants to awesome writers to producers to make this happen. Um, and I want to read this, but I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything.
Okay.
The program Men of Courage is a program. Is both reality and substance. The show is designed to examine the lives of everyday people. You know,
Okay.
experience extraordinary things, have accomplished incredible goals, achieve immeasurable success despite the demons of their past. This show has become the informational and communal safety net for persons seeking answers and solutions to their greatest personal challenges. While the Men of Courage show is not intended to replace professional expertise by no means, its goal is to serve as a conduit and portal for individuals to find solace through true and accurate solutions.
Okay.
We deal with a lot of trauma. We deal with a lot of pain. We deal with sexual abuse. We deal with substance abuse. We deal with domestic abuse, depression. It's nothing that we don't deal with. I enjoy it. I love it. I sleep it. I dream it. And like I said earlier, because of my past personal experiences, this is why I do this every day.
Alrighty. And I am grateful for you for being always so candid and open and willing to share
Thank you.
not just the stories of the men that you have encountered, but your story as well. And I talked about how being transparent, yes, it's a bit vulnerable. It makes you a bit vulnerable, but being vulnerable can also begin your healing process because you're being open and you're releasing, you're admitting, you're pouring out, and you're allowing the healing love and peace and joy and all that to come in. So I'm not gonna get all preachy and whatever, but before we go any further, I'd like to start out with a quote. And
Okay.
there's so many quotes out there, and this may not be the best one, but it's one that kind of fits the conversation.
Okay.
Men have bad days. Men feel misunderstood. Men suffer. It's not just women that struggle, men do too. So, men too, also as well. Whatever else you want to say after that. Men too. Men also. And so let's go ahead and get into these questions. Like, I'm the queen of questions. I always got some hot, some fire for you. I do want to take a pause also to acknowledge those in our chat. Oops, sorry. I want to say hello to everyone that's watching and Mr. Von Bryant. I really wish Mr. Von was up here in the panel. He has some wise insight. He's very wise, and I would love to hear you all's interaction because I was hoping to take a little back seat because this is all about the men. The
Right.
ladies ain't got nothing to say right here, right now. But he says, greetings, peace, and blessings. And then want to remind everybody hit the like, subscribe, do all that jazz, and stay tuned for more topics similar to this. Well, let's go ahead and get right on into this without further ado. So let's talk about. Okay, now I know it's probably hard to name the top issues and traumas and things that men face. But like, if you can name about three
Okay.
issues slash outcomes that men face when they're dealing with trauma. I don't know if that's a great first question, but that's what we're going to start today.
Okay. I would say depression.
Okay.
I would say sexual abuse, and I would say domestic abuse.
Okay. All right. So I want to welcome Vaughn to the panel. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Greetings, greetings.
And please, if you have questions, y'all want to have this dialogue back and forth, I can fall back. I can respect y'all.
Good evening, Mr.
Uh,
Brian. Good evening. Good evening, sir.
Nice to meet you, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. Likewise. Thank you.
all right, and so the next one question, society, like we mentioned before, society tends to cater to women, but men face issues too. In your experience, from your experience, because you've been doing this for some years, like almost a decade, if not more.
Yeah.
And so, from your experience, I want to say why is it that, but what have you learned? What have you seen? What have you encountered as to maybe, I guess, why society caters to women versus men?
Phew. Good question. I get asked this question a lot when I travel. The first thing come to my mind, I would stick by this, is because society don't feel as though that men that we go through things. We hurt too. We go through pain. We cry, but the
Hmm.
difference is we hide it.
Mm,
We keep it inside. We don't want to talk about it. We're ashamed. It's the ego uh, characteristics of a male. We're not supposed to hurt. We're not supposed to be in pain. We're supposed to go get it. And oftentimes, a lot of men that I've interviewed, the first thing they say is, it's from childhood. Own up to it. Stop being a little sissy. Get up. Ain't nothing wrong with you. You didn't fall down. Stop crying. You're a sissy. So that's embedded in as a young child, as a young boy, and it goes into adolescent. It goes into adulthood. So we are conditioned. This is how we're supposed to be, and that's why the stigma is men are not supposed to talk about this. We are, and I support women who stand by our side and understand. It wasn't always like this, but I appreciate the women that stick beside us and say, you know what? I see you get up in the morning. I see the pain in your eyes. You know what I mean? So that's what it's all about. And that's why now, over the past 3 years, I would say, 3.5 years, I have opened men encouraged to not just men now, it's
okay.
women. Because 30% of young girls, elementary school parents, have reached out to the program that they need help, especially during the pandemic. Young girls, women, they go through problems. And everybody say, Damon, no, it's been men encouraged for a decade. Don't do it. Don't do it. You know me well enough. I'm the type of person, I prayed about it, I studied, and I said, you know what? I will not sit back and say, I get a submission through my email and my team and say, you know what? My daughter's 9 years old. She was on virtual during the pandemic. She lost it. She slid her wrist. So here I am at the school with my team providing therapy for this 9 year old, 10 year old girl, young girl. So again, I do not like to say, you know what, it's a Men of Courage program all these years over a decade. I'm not. That's just not who I am anymore. So
Okay.
we have now embraced young girls, women in this program. 30% of females come through this program, and before I forget, next year I'm opening up a facility in McKinney, Texas,
Okay.
for men and women. It'll be actually kindergarten to fifth grade and sixth to 12th grade men and women. So we're bringing this thing all together.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful. Mr. Vaughn, would you have anything that you would like to ask or add?
Well, I'm just new to the conversation, so um, I just want to know what the conversation's about. I know that
Okay.
this brother, you're interviewing him, and he has an organization. I'm not sure if it's an organization, but it's called Men of Courage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and looking at the thumbnail, you know, it says men speaking up, breaking the chains of silence.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that because a lot of times we are very silent. You know, we suffer in silence oftentimes. You know what I'm saying? And I've been through so many things in my 60 some odd years. You see what I mean? And I believe that it's time for me to kind of open up and share some of those things that I've been through uh, as a child were very embarrassing, uh, very I'm not sure what word I could use, but very hurtful. Definitely, I would definitely say that. And so a lot of times as men, we're so macho and we're so egotistical and we're so prideful, you know, that we negate and look over things that have affected us in our lives to the point to where it has caused us to walk and move and do and be certain ways. You know what I'm saying? And we never sit back and get counsel for it because, again, we suffer in silence. So I love the title of the topic, and I'm here for it. I would just love to hear what my brother has to say, and
Okay.
uh, and then we can go from there.
All right. So you know I got more questions, but I do want to take a pause and acknowledge the chat. I want to say thank you for Truth and Purpose. Nexus for joining us. He says, "Good evening. Yes, we need authentic women who actually care about men, not just what they can get out of a man, but actually value us to the point where they wouldn't dare a part. Um, I guess be a part of what hurts." Okay. And he says, yeah, because a man is looked at as weak when he is hurt and emotionally broken. And that's simply not fair at all. Not fair at all to treat men in that manner. But I'm not going to, it's not about me. Tonight is about men. So I'm going to keep on rolling with my questions. And I hope
Okay.
that more women tune in and listen and actually take heed to what the men are actually saying. I'm just here asking questions, y'all. I need y'all ladies to listen up this time.
Well,
And
I'm
men,
listen. I'm here to try to answer as best as I can. You know what I'm saying? But you know, as far as the transparency is involved, I don't mind being transparent at all either
okay,
because my situation. Many men have gone through it. It's just they don't talk about it.
That's right.
yeah,
And when we look at the manosphere, everything is so set and scheduled. You know what I'm saying? But then it really doesn't allow individuals to be who they actually are.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? To actually come up and speak some truths as to what they've been through. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying
yeah,
the manosphere is all bad and all of this stuff. So don't get me wrong. I'm just saying a lot of the talking points I'm just not in agreement with when
yeah.
it comes to manhood and how we should move and do and be.
That's right. Thank you. And there will be some time for you to share some more of whatever you feel comfortable sharing. Mr. M3, do
Yeah.
you have something you would like to add?
He's on mute.
Brother M3, I
Yeah, I
think
just realized.
you're muted. You're
I,
muted,
I
man.
just realized that too after I just gave like a good speech. But no. First and foremost, I just want to say good evening, gentlemen, and good evening to you, QB. It's definitely a pleasure to be on the show. Um, what I would like to kind of like put bring awareness is I'll just say the deletion rates because I don't know if YouTube will allow us to say like the other word to it, but you know what I
Okay.
mean.
Hmm.
So just bear with me real quick. And most of them can be like suicide, well, deletion attempts, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, you won't be able to see what I'm showing on this chart, but I'm just going to read this out to you, okay? As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and I will share the link to the people in the chat as
Yeah.
well, so that way you guys could click on it and you guys could kind of see like a big picture of where I'm coming from with this one. But this is goes from range I think from 2022 and a few years like back. But on this chart, right, in deletion rates by race, ethnicity, and gender, and so this one, I know you guys won't be able to see it, but as a matter of fact, hold on, I'm sorry, y'all. Let me go ahead and just do a screen share if I can. I'm just going ahead and just show it out, okay? All right, if I could pull up. Can you guys see it now?
Yes, I can see it. I can see it.
Okay. So so the deletion rates by ethnicity, like race and gender and all that. When I pull up the chart, it says like in 2020, the highest of the U.S. age adjusted, deletion rate was amongst, and they'll say like white folks, well, white men was pretty much like the highest as far as deletion rates. And then if you look down here where it says like, okay, under white males, then you have white females, then we kind of come. Oh no, I thought we was gonna come second in line, but black man is like 11.73%. Black females 2.77%. Pacific Islander males 10%, well 10.71%, and then the female Pacific Islanders is 3.77. And then if you go to American Indian males, as you can see, is 20.29%.
Wow.
And American Indian females is 6.94%. And there's a reason why I'm reading this chart. See, I thought it was like going to 2022, but I guess it stopped at 2020 for a minute. But the reason why I'm reading this chart, and matter of fact, I can kind of close it up real quick. The reason why I was reading this chart is because if you notice, there's a huge gap between men and women of all colors. This is not just a black man thing. This is not a white man thing. Okay, men of all colors is going through something, and because the rate is so tremendous as opposed to our gender counterparts, that's really speaking loud volumes. Now, I'm not negating, on women that's going through their stuff and women that's attempting to delete themselves by any means. Like, we all equally need to get the help. But the problem is, are we getting the help that is needed? And a lot of times, this title definitely fits well. That black men, well, not black men, but men, they kind of speak in silence. We're in a society where society is going to give us a lot of grief just by letting down our emotions. Both men and women are emotional in their own way, and they handle emotions differently. But the difference is women have a platform where it's socially acceptable for you guys to speak up. It's socially acceptable for you guys to let down and cry. But what is never socially acceptable is a man admitting his weakness. A man voicing his weakness is going to get ridiculed to him as being weak by both men and women. And what makes men afraid to open up to a woman, well, to someone, or I'll say most women will say, hey, I want my man to cry to me. I want my man to let his guard down. But whenever the man lets his guard down and expresses emotions, they back away. They get afraid. And some of them will try to have the audacity to tell the man to man up. Unfortunately, it's deemed as unattractive to them, and men pick up on that. And if men's goal is to, like, be with a woman, and they know that being weak is unattractive to a woman's eyes, to most of them, they're not going to let their guard down. They're going to keep on building that shell up, and that's why you have a lot of macho men running around in the space, with a hard exterior, because the moment they let their guards down and show any signs of weakness or even cry, they're gonna get ridiculed. And that's why, after maybe doing harm to yourself or doing harm to others, I mean, that's what kind of leads into that, because there's no outlet for you to turn to. Most men, they turn to video games, and then look what happens. Women still make fun of them. They look at them like they're losers because you're chilling out. You're trying to get your head in a space of mind. You're not trying to smoke weed or drink, but you're trying to do whatever you can to escape reality. Mm-hmm. And when it's always shame, the last result is basically to harm yourself.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's a lot of this going on, man. It's sad really when we look at the numbers, and some people, look at those numbers and say, well, who's doing it the most? That's really not the point. The point is that people are so desperate and so distraught that they feel they have no other choice but to delete themselves because they're hopeless. They can't find hope anywhere, and so it's difficult to look at that number and just be, like, oh, well, this person has the highest amount. No, man, people are suffering, on all ends, every race. You know what I'm saying? And as far as the men are concerned, it's going on. It's definitely going on. A lot of issues that we do not confront about ourselves because we feel like it would undermine, our manhood. A lot of times we're not apt to seek counseling because we feel like it would put us in a vulnerable place to where now we're really not, the man that everybody thought we were, and we put on fronts and facades. And we do that quite often, and we're very good at it. You know what I'm saying? And so I would like to know more about Brother Damon's the organization that he has, the Men of Courage, or, I would like for him to express a little bit more about what he's offering to these men who need a place where they can open up, talk, be heard, and be helped. And find hope.
Well, we definitely have more questions. I want to acknowledge two things. First, we have to acknowledge the man who's responsible for this platform, Mr. Intellectual Soapbox himself. How are you doing?
No. This is a joint venture. I'm not, I'm just somebody who is honored to just be able to have y'all on my channel. Thank you, Mr. Thomas, for being on here. I appreciate you. QB, thanks for being on here. M3, thanks for holding it down, man. Mr. Brian, thank you as well. Wow. Only thing I'm gonna say is, when you take supplements, be careful what you're taking. You know what I mean? I took something, it wasn't registering, and yeah, so.
Okay.
But now I know what I should and shouldn't be taking. But yeah, it's all good. You know, you live and you learn, man.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're here. And I want to acknowledge Truth and Purpose. Thank you so much for keeping the chat jumping. And definitely want to say, hey, Wally. Says salute
Dude, what's up, Wally? What's up?
to the panel and chat. So let me go back and read Mr. Truth's comments. Okay. He talked about being emotionally broken. Oh, we on Lock Nation. Salute to everyone in the panel and chat. Okay. He
We
says,
unlock
yep.
what up?
Says, Truth says, yep, but those men who have done, I'm sorry, I guess who have done that are looked upon as wicked. Nobody doesn't want to help stop this from happening. I tell people all the time, people are dealing with enough. If you can't help or add value, stay away from people. They don't need added pain or trauma, especially men. It's a shame that you have to preference your comments that when we talk exclusively about men, that means we don't care about women. So, and then he agrees with M3 on the things he was saying. Even if they don't say man up, when a female don't stop what caused the main pain, you can tell when someone feed off a person main they pain, they amp it up. And then Sheila Paragon says, I don't see it as weak. I call it transparency and not being afraid to be vulnerable. Truth says, when I see I'm causing someone pain, I stop and I try to do everything in my power not to repeat that. Or if I can help, I usually am proactive. You can tell what you don't like. Um, he said 90% of the time and won't do it. Okay. So, and welcome to Inye Kin Nia. I'm so sorry. I totally screwed that whole name up. I apologize. I apologize.
Salute and yeah. Salute.
Okay. All right. So, Damon, next, question talking point. So, we hear a lot about sexual abuse, domestic DV, sorry, DV, divorce, miscarriages, etc., etc. Well, if a man is in a relationship with a woman, he experiences these as well. I've had the privilege of watching some of your videos in the past of men being open and honest about things they've been through, and you yourself have been very open and honest about what you've been through, and you wrote a book about it. So let's talk about those aspects as to why do we not acknowledge that men, okay, when a woman has a miscarriage, that was his baby too, you know, just because he's not carrying it, he has an attachment to it. When there's a divorce, that was his marriage, you know, so things of that nature. So, and Damon, can you expound on those and what you have experienced or, heard other men talk about in relation to that?
Woo, that's powerful. I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. So basically, in regards to miscarriages, divorces, relationships, your question is why isn't it talked about on the side of men? Is that
Yes, and then what have men shared concerning their feelings, emotions?
I'll be honest with you. In my program, it is designed to form that safety net. We talk about everything. And after the second conversation I have with men across the globe, not just here in Atlanta, I'm talking, we're in London, we're in Africa, we're all over the world. And the first thing is you want to build that trust with these men to open up and talk about these things. A lot of men call and they say, you know what? I should have been there more for my wife, going through the miscarriage, going through her pain, her depression. But I tell these men, and I challenge these men across the globe, how can we be there for our significant other if we haven't dealt with our demons? Here you are, a male who've been dealing with sexual abuse. You're 35, 37, and you were sexually abused at 9, 6, 5 years old, and you've never dealt with it. So how can you even begin to be a positive role model in your community? 1, how can you be an impact in your marriage? 2, and 3, How can you even talk to your kids if it happened to them when you haven't dealt with your demons? That's my biggest pet peeve. And what we do is that my program is designed to get these men through these portals: introduction, middle, and to the end. We can't even begin to be there for our significant other if we haven't dealt with our own trauma. Bottom line.
And I'm gonna ask this one question and let the gentleman take over. Do you feel that is a good 85 to 90% of relationship, interpersonal and personal, and even professional relationships? Do you feel like that is a big chunk of why there is so much dysfunction?
I do believe that, and you know me, I don't get into percentages. It
Okay.
doesn't. I don't care if it's 1 or 2%. It happens. I don't believe in domestic violence month. I don't believe in this month is for this. It happens every day, 365. I do this 6 days a week.
Yes, it does.
6 days a week. When I get these calls 6 days a week, Sunday's my only day off. I don't want to hear about, oh, it happened 9% with Asian, 20% with Black. I don't care about that. It happens every day. And one thing that really came to my mind early, and I don't want to forget, most male suicides in the U.S. show no link to mental health issues at all.
Wow.
Use of firearms, and this is as of 2022, alcohol consumption are common factors in deaths by CDC researchers in UCLA. So everybody want to jump the gun and talk about, oh, most male suicides in the U.S. is a link to mental health. No, not always. We have to get to the root of these problems with these men and stop ignoring them. And you know me, I eat, I sleep, I dream this every single day. This is my passion for over 12 years. This is what I do. This is what my team do. We're, like I said, we're in schools, we're all over. So we have to get out of the statistics and deal with the root of the problem here. We really do.
Wow.
I'm sorry, Damon. We have to be mindful of some things we say because the troll bots will get into the chat. So we just try to, that's why we say deletion and DV. We don't need to get spammed and then flagged either. So.
Yeah.
I got you.
Okay, so I'm sorry about that. But men, y'all take it over, Mr. Vaughn, M3. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Damon, I do have a question to ask you too, because now I know there's other ways, other reasons besides mental health. But let's just say okay, if death was a contributor, piles and piles of people that that's passing away, and then alcoholism or whatever, drugs or substance abuse. But doesn't that kind of play into a person's mental health? If you look at the root of the problem, I just want to ask because I just want to understand.
Oh, most definitely. You're totally right. Yes, I agree with you 100%. And also, we also got to talk about what led to the drinking. It's grief. And a lot of men, they turn to not all of them, turn to alcohol and drugs because of what they're dealing with. If it's grief, if it's a divorce, if it's now we're finally dealing with trauma that's happened in our past. Oftentimes, a lot of these men, they turn to drugs and alcohol. And that's why we do what we do, to channel them.
And food too, poor eating habits.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Okay. All right, thank you for clarifying. I just want to make sure I understood. Thank you. All right. Yeah, anyone else? Oh, go ahead, Vaughn.
Okay, well, as far as when we talk about being transparent and men coming forth and talking about those sensitive things that are hard to talk about, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of us, we get in these groups and we very frequently talk about the women because I feel like we're projecting the things that we're actually going through ourselves, and as long as we can focus on the imperfections of the women, then we really don't have time to sit down and figure out what it is about us that we need to correct about ourselves. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to point out another individual's flaw, whether they're male or female. It's easy to look out the window, in other words, but it's a little bit harder to look into the mirror. Do you know what I'm saying? So when we look in the mirror, what do we see about ourselves? That's a truthful moment right there. That's where all of the lies, you don't have to be pretentious with yourself, because see, a lot of times how low down you are. See what I'm saying? When you look in the mirror, instead of looking out the window, because we could always say, Brother Damon is this, and see what I'm saying? M3 is that, and you see what I'm saying? And we can focus on that all day and deter ourselves from some things that we need to correct about our own self. You know what I'm saying? Some people call it judgmentalness, And so me personally, I've had to deal with some issues where I've had to look in the mirror. You see what I'm saying? And literally look at myself. I'm a husband. I'm a father. You see what I'm saying? I'm in retirement mode, but I was an employee. You see what I say? Who am I in all of these aspects of my life? You know what I'm saying? Now, everything is not meant for an individual to just expose about themselves. Some things, definitely, we just need to keep to ourselves because they're private. That's why it's called, it's a private situation. But if I was to be transparent, I wish that the brethren would be able to come together and sit together and talk about our indifferences and how we can become better versions of ourselves. You see what I'm saying? Because what I see a lot is the women, their flaws and their faults and their this and they see, and this is why I can't see my kid. And I understand all of that is a part of life, But brothers, what do you say to the brother that was violated at a young age as a little boy? What do you say to him? What advice do you give that individual? Because there's a suffering definitely that goes behind it. I, for one, was a person who was violated when I was a little boy. You see what I'm saying? And it happened more than once. So I had to grow up without counsel. I had to grow up without, being able to talk about it. I had to grow up all the way to the age of 31, before I could actually open up and talk about that issue. And so when I see these brothers being so manly, which is okay because we are men, you get it? We are all men. You see what I'm saying? But how do we heal each other when we don't discuss truthfully what's going on with each other? You see what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm all for this conversation tonight. And if there's any questions that anyone has to ask me, I have no problem with answering.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Vaughn, Mr. Brian. Mr. Intellectual, would you like to? I know you're not feeling 100. Do you have anything you would like to add? Okay, maybe you're just in the background chilling. But kind of sticking with this because I don't want to just brush over because these issues are deep. These traumas, I should call them, are very deep, and they cause very deep wounds and scars. And some of them heal, but as with men or women, we have a tendency to pick. We pick. It could be healing. It could be at its last little stage. It's got a little crusty scab on it, but it's like, no, we got to still. So kind of walk through that process of why do men, because it's not about women, why do men keep picking at, it's like, I don't know if they, and we're going to talk about healing next, but why is they keep picking at it? Are they seeking attention they're not getting? Do men not know how to ask for help? Like, help us women understand what it is. Because again, I'm a woman, female, uterus and ovaries, I don't understand.
Well, listen, I can't answer for every man. You know what I'm saying? I can only answer for what I think it could be because my personality is different from a whole lot of people's personalities. you know, because and that's okay because I'm unique within myself. You know, we've all gone through different circumstances that helped us become who we are today. You know, some of it good, some of it bad. You know what I'm saying? But there is a stigma that we are seeing where we are so expected to duty, and as well as it should be, you know, because the man is the provider, the man is strong, the man has to stand upright, the man has to square his shoulders, the man, you see what I'm saying, the man has to climb, the man has to provide, the man has to hunt, the man has to, you know. And so it's okay because a lot of us fall into that naturally, but along the way of see, we have to understand that we had to become a man. What did it take for us to become that man? What did we go through to become that man? You see what I'm saying? And for me, I could honestly say it was a hellish struggle. Wow.
On mute. Thank you so much, Mr. Brian.
But but I will say, you know, God was good. You see what I'm saying? Am I a
Yes.
perfect man? No, but I made it to that place. But in order for me to get there, I had no guidance. You know, what does a child do when you know you are taken advantage by an older male adult? What type of example is that for him?
Wow. And
So it gets it, you know, the conversation gets deep. It's really not a surface conversation if we want to be honest about it. You know,
mhm,
if we're gonna if this is what the conversation is about, to open up and the men are on the panel, let's open up, you know, because there's some trauma involved.
yes.
And I'm not the only one that has been through trauma, but thank God for healing. You see
Yes.
what I'm saying? But I had to get to a place of healing. It didn't happen overnight. There was a great struggle, ladies and gentlemen. There was a great struggle. And am I resentful? No, because see, I accepted the Lord when I was 10 years old.
Okay.
I knew who God was when I was a little boy. I received the Holy Spirit when I was 10 years old. But I was messed with at the age of 5, 7, and 10.
Okay.
And the latter experience was inside the church.
Oh my God.
So what do we, and you know what? For years, I felt like, wow, don't say this to anybody because it's embarrassing. They're going to think it's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. You know, it's something wrong with the individuals who would take advantage of younger people. I don't care if it's a boy or girl who would take advantage of them in their innocence, in their childhood.
Yeah. It's
So
very
I hope I didn't make the conversation too deep, but I just thought
no. This is what we
you know,
need. This is
I
what we
came
need.
on here to share.
Yes, and I want Damon. Oh, first, please, Damon, if you don't mind, just I want to acknowledge the people in the comments, but I want you to share a story with the interview you did with the gentleman who talked about this very thing about being abused in a bathroom. If you can share, I mean, of course, not give away his identity, but share parts of his story as much as you can to add to the conversation and concerning sexuality. You know what I'm talking. You know what I'm talking about.
Ooh, it's been so many.
Okay, well, I
Yeah.
remember that one stuck out to me.
Okay.
But I want to say, welcome back to Wally. Um, Truth and Purpose has been going in, and we definitely want to add him. You know, we'll go ahead and bring Truth and Purpose up to the chat, please, if he's willing to come up, because he has a lot to say. And okay, hey Marcus, want to say hello to Marcus. Shout out everybody. Sheila Paragon says it will be their yeah, coping mechanism to deal with the pain. We were talking about substance abuse and video games and things of that nature. Um, Truth was saying that men and women need to love men more. We really do. And then he said, Mr. Bryant, Your truth doesn't mean it's not the truth. Your truth is your truth. Let's see. Wally says, "Welcome to the Intellectual Soapbox, where we bring you intellectual conversation. Leave the BS at the door." And I should have gave this disclaimer earlier. Tonight is about realness, authenticity, vulnerability, transparency. So yes, please give all of these gentlemen who are opening up about their stories and their lives grace and space to do that. And that's why I'm hosting this conversation, because it's always women this, ladies' night, da, 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 da. It's time for the men to have their space, free of consequences. This is what they need. So, and I'm here to provide that. And as Truth says, you
Yes.
know, there's not enough open arms. I'm providing an open arm, open heart space for
Yes.
you. I'm holding space for you gentlemen tonight,
Yes.
because I do love my brothers in all shades and sizes.
Man, that's right.
um, and Sheila says healing comes through forgiveness and say, it's not my fault.
That's right.
Yes.
That's
All
right.
right. And so Damon, okay, so the interview that I'm referencing, the
I
gentleman.
already know what you're talking about.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, it was me actually in the bathroom. It was me.
Oh,
At 6 years, I was 6 years old, and I spent a lot of time every weekend with my grandmother.
okay.
This particular cousin, she was 19. She was in high school, and this was my mother's first cousin actually. And it was every weekend. She would take me into the bathroom. She would abuse me, sexually abuse me, and I didn't understand what was going on. Of course, as I got older, I understood, but it was trauma for me. Of course, at 6 years old, you with a 19-year-old female in the bathroom every weekend. And the thing about it is, I know this is my purpose, and this has have been my calling for 13 years, doing this program and saving lives and doing therapy myself with my team. But 1992, move fast forward, getting abused by her in the bathrooms at 6 years old. But fast forward, 1992, my first marriage, I was 21 years old, and I received a phone call that this individual who did this to me, she had passed away. I was like, whoa, okay, this is a relative. She passed away. And when I found out she passed away of HIV, I was like, thank you, God, because I never contracted anything. She was very, very sexually active. And during that
Praise
time,
God.
and you got to think during that time, exactly 6 years old, she was 19. I didn't understand then, but I understood when I got to be 18. My dad was telling me back then, they came knocking on your door, the doctors with their little bag, like Marcus Welby back in the day, knocking on the door. And at 6 and 7, I couldn't comprehend why are these people, these doctors keep coming to my grandma's house. Couldn't find out she was exposing so many guys in high school with STDs. They had kicked her out of school. And I'm hearing this at 6 and 7 when the people
Wow.
knocked on my grandmother's door. And I said,
Wow.
1992, my first marriage, I'm hearing this. I said, this is my purpose. I'm supposed to be doing this. And I tell these men, I tell families that call me and need therapy, we need to stop sweeping this under the rug. We have to talk about it. We have to execute a plan about this. Mr. Brian, I'm so sorry that you went through what you went through, and we're going to talk later off schedule.
Okay.
My thing is, there were no resources back then. I didn't start talking about it until I was 32 and I wrote my first book, Love and Pain. You said you was 30. So 32, I start talking about this. And my mother was like, you need to get around to my house. I said, why? She said, your book is out. I was 32. I'll be 54 in October 1st. I said, my book is out.
And I'm in my 60s. So
Yeah. I said, my book is not out. She said, oh, no, your book is out. I said, okay.
right.
And I said, you wasn't to blame. Dad wasn't to blame. You guys were perfect parents. My mother back around mental health. My dad worked in a prison for over 35 years. So I had a very structured life. We talked about everything. We had weekly meetings at our dinner table, my siblings and I. But this one component of my life of me being sexually abused at 6 and 9, I could not talk about until I was 32 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you know that is so crazy, because I remember when I was younger, and at the same age when the last incident, well, when one of the first incidents that happened, we were on our way into a movie theater, and I saw the individual. And I don't know, maybe I was so young that I didn't know how to express it to my mother, but I
Mhm.
was trying to tell her. I said, "Hey, that's so and so," and she said, "Yeah, that's so and so," you know. And I said, "Well, he was trying to play with me," you know, and I meant like play with me, you know.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it was a term that I had heard, like listening to grown-ups talk or whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? But I expressed it to her that way, and she didn't get it. She didn't get it. And I shut up all the way to 31 before I even talked to her about that. And she said, if I had known that, I would have gone to jail.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Wow. Memories. And just recently, probably like toward the beginning or the end of last year, I was going through some photographs, and I'm all of 60 something, but I was going through some photographs, and you know how you're just trying to organize papers and stuff, and or go through a Bible actually, and ran into an old picture of myself when I was 10 years old. And I looked at the expression on my face, and I understood what that little boy had been through. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I wept. At the age of 60 something, I wept, still wept, because that little kid didn't know nothing about why that took place, why that happened, how to move from the struggles that I know that I had from that age up to now. You know what I'm saying? And some people are very quick to say, well, you know what, why don't you just oh, get over it, move on. That happened a long time ago. Oh, so many years have passed, you should be over it. Hey, I have overcome it. You see what I'm saying? Because I learned how to forgive. I learned how to forgive the individual and actually forgive those individuals. Do you see what I'm saying? Because in my teens, I grew up with a lot of hatred and got into a lot of mayhem. Listen to me now. You see what I'm saying? Because, at the age of 10, you don't understand certain things. But then when you get around your peers, you learn what that type of activity is. Well, hold on, I'm not that, because I was brought up in the church. You see what I'm saying? I know the scriptures, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was like, oh my God, there was a shame that came along with it, which is so crazy, because when I look back on it, why would I feel ashamed when it was this individual's fault? What type of adult does that? So I don't want to talk too much about that, but I just wanted to, I just wanted to be a little transparent on the program, because I know what the show is about, and I just wanted to share that, because I'm not the only one that has
Yes.
gone through this. You see what I'm saying?
I
And
appreciate you.
it was never a relative, but then sometimes it is a relative
Mm-hmm.
in regards to some people. And they said, well, what happens when it happens with a woman? Well, when I was 13, it happened with a 22-year-old. She was a counselor at the Christian Youth Center. See what I'm saying?
I want to
Yeah.
talk. Let's. I don't want not necessarily shift gears,
Maybe
but
I should write a book, right?
Hey, I'm a Mr. Brown. I'm a ghostwriter. I've done over 20 books.
Oh,
Excuse me,
okay. We'll talk.
can I
We'll
make a
talk,
statement
sir.
real quick?
We'll
definitely,
talk.
y'all.
Can I make a
And
statement real
Mr.
quick?
Intellectual, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to I want to just give a shout out to Saida. Thank you for joining us, Saida. Give it to you,
Hi,
family.
Saika.
And definitely y'all please join the conversation. You know what I mean? Please come on the panel and share your thoughts, your perspectives. Um, I just want to say that a lot of times people they don't want to take these things seriously. They think that it's funny. They think that
Mhm.
it's something to joke around about. But these things are very serious. And please, people, if you see or you know someone who have gone through these experiences, You know what I mean? Please take what they're saying seriously. You know, don't just brush it under the rug. Don't tell them to get over it. Don't tell them just to be a man. You know what I mean? Because it's not that simple. You know what I mean? When you have faced something, a level of abuse or a level of trauma, it's not hard to just. It's not easy just to get past it. You know what I mean? It's a process. And this process, there's no date. You know what I mean? We ain't gonna say, okay, well, you know what? By next, February this time, I'll be fine. There's no date for it. We don't know. We really don't know. So, I mean, please, when people are looking for help, when they're seeking the help, when they're being open about the experiences, please take it seriously. You know what I mean? I just want to say salute to Mr. Brian for sharing the experience. Salute to everybody for sharing the experience. Truth, I see you in the comment. Thank you for sharing yours. Mr. Thomas, thank you as always for being up here, bro. Appreciate you. And thanks for everybody for sharing what they've been through, man. I appreciate that. I truly do.
Thank you. Sheila Paragon says, sorry you experienced this. I feel your pain. You never get over it. You get past it and move forward in life. That's right. So, M3, we want to bring you into the conversation because, and not to say this is not directed at you, I just want to bring you into the conversation. But there are other traumas that men experience that affect them more than they know all the way to their adulthood. And that could be family dysfunction. Women, again, we talk about it from our perspective. Our dads not being there, our uncles this and that, blah, 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 everything that happened to us. But what about men that experience toxic parents and toxic in every way you can think of? I've known children that go home to dirty homes, to infested homes, to substance abuse parents, or a single parent who only cares about their needs and the child just got to eat cereal and noodles. Just their clothes are never that clean, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So M3, again, this is not your life, your story, but I just want to bring you in to the conversation.
I know what you're talking about. Well, look, I'll share like a little snippet of my story. Now, of course, I grew up with two parents. Only one of them is alive to this day, but my parents was never married, and so there was dysfunction in the household. Just like, unfortunately, I hate to say this, like any normal Black family, pretty much. And for me, I used to be the type of person as a kid when I was growing up. I used to believe in family first and family values.
Okay.
And that's because, you watch TV a lot as a kid and you just seeing all these like lovable, like, families get together. I mean, not just white families on TV, but even like the Black sitcoms, like The Fresh Prince, Family Matters. That's a big one. Good Times and all these other shows that you watch, and you're like, man, these people, especially Boy Meets World, but these people, they have such lovable family values, and then they have friends in addition to that. And so, in my case in point, I want to kind of feel the family oriented vibe. But see, like, as a person that have two Southern parents, but lived in California, half my family was in Texas, half my other family was in Georgia. So I didn't grow up, like with a bond with my grandparents. Like I didn't grow up like just, conversing and building bonds, with my cousins. Like they were just too far away. And then the ones that I did had, they was either much older than me, or the only one that was at least close to my age, he passed away. And so over time, you kind of start getting used to like, all right, not needing families, not needing the need to have. I mean, I'm surprised I'm married the way how I think, but it still affects me when it comes to other people's families. I'm not close to my own family like that. You know, maybe like a few, but as far as like my cousins, you know, I'm nowhere near close to them like that. Um, and I don't want to lose my point, but it was something else I was going to mention. But I mean, overall, oh yeah, I was going to mention my wife's family. Even my wife's family, because she has a big family, and they're in close proximity. My mentality is like, look, if I'm not close to my family, what makes you think I'm going to be close to yours, or even try to make an effort? So psychologically, I just pretty much like shut myself off away from people that I don't really feel connected to. And there's no disrespect. It's just that um the one like I'll put it like this. The ones who are my closest friends are like family to me. And the ones who are related to me through bloodline are strangers to me. So I mean the effects of it, I mean, I'm not a family oriented type of person. You know, I'm not hard pressed on trying to have children, trying to build a legacy or whatever. I'm just a person that right now I enjoy the life that I have for my wife and, you know, my few aunts, my dad, and some of the other people, you know, that I'm somewhat close to. But if it's a far proximity, it's going to be hard to try to build with anyone. I'm not a person that makes an effort to try to build family because I just don't care about it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. So, Damon, can you talk about, that aspect, the family trauma, the personal trauma, the various forms of trauma, how that affects your interpersonal and personal relationships, and then can you go lead into healing and talk about how that's a very intricate, inclusive, dirty, dark, emotional, like all of that.
Yeah. Wow.
And thank
I
you, M3, for sharing that.
yes, and
No problem.
that was awesome. Thank you.
Right.
You know, it starts out at childhood. I mean, what we see, what we experience, what our mind uh grasp at a young age, that dysfunctional, it can lead us into adulthood to where it'll cause problems in our marriages. I've been around a lot of people, a lot of married people who have not dealt with the dysfunctional component in their family, and it has caused problems in their marriage. So that's a therapy component there, and it goes back to what I said an hour ago. We have to deal with the trauma. We cannot continue to go through life in relationships, in our jobs, relationship with our kids if we haven't dealt with the trauma. And trauma comes in all aspects, as we know. Trauma is trauma. And my thing is you can define trauma in so many ways. But what I like most about this here, trauma is an emotional response to a terrible event, like an accident, rape, natural disaster, immediately after the event, shock or denial. Long-term reactions include unpredictable emotions, flashbacks, and strain. Trauma will haunt you forever if you don't deal with it. Okay? Healing process. I tell the men, the young ladies that come through my program, we have to first acknowledge it. If it's substance abuse, we have to acknowledge we have a problem. If we're going through depression, we have to get to the point to where we acknowledge it. We have to acknowledge it first. That's the first thing. No matter what we're dealing with, we're struggling with, we have to acknowledge it. Regarding the sexual abuse, we cannot continue to place the blame on ourselves. And I've heard horror stories. Mothers, fathers, grandparents. It is your fault. I'm here to say, no, it's not. You are not the blame. Okay? It's not your fault. We have to obtain confidence and trust when we going into therapy. That's why for my Men Curse program, we first formed that safety net to protect you and also help you gain that trust with us. Acknowledge it first. It's not your fault. Stop blaming yourself. You have to obtain the confidence and the trust once you go through the portals of therapy. And you have to, one of the main important things, you have to stick to the therapy. You can't just go one time and think you're healed and everything is okay. What I do every day, I don't judge. I can't judge by law. Whatever you come to me with, I cannot judge. It is what it is. We're going to get through it. 98% of people that come through my program, Q, you already know it, we help. 98%. That's an awesome, and here, like I said earlier, I don't get into statistics, but that one there, at 90% of people that reach out to us, we have helped over the past 12 years. So I know what we're doing is the right thing. And we will continue doing this every single day. Like I said, I do this 6 days a week. Okay. And we have to leave the ego at the door, man. We have to leave it at the door. I'd rather you leave a divorce, and I'm going to say it, to get yourself right, separate, then come back to that relationship. You're no good to anybody if you're still dealing with these demons. You're no good to yourself. And the resources. That's why I did this program as well. Not because it's just personal experiences, but there were no resources 13 years ago when I started. And they're still limited, but men have to get to the point where they can trust that individual to have a conversation behind closed doors and get the therapy that you need. I will not judge you no kind of way. What I will do is I will commend you for say, guess what? I'm speaking out. I've acknowledged my problem, and I want to get help, Mr. Thomas. This is what it's all about.
All right, thank you. Before I bring Mr. Vaughn or M3 back in, I want to ask this question concerning the healing process. Just because someone has acknowledged they have been traumatized and they're ready to work through this so they can live a better life, just acknowledging it, but not actually going through the healing steps, can someone revert back? If that's the right way to ask that.
So basically, can someone pretty much like digress in their what's it called? Not
If
their
they
pattern
say,
behavior, but
yeah, like
not the
whatever
word I'm looking for.
behavior they're
Yeah.
exhibiting because of the trauma, just because they say, okay, this happened to me, I have this problem, but they like, well, I'm not going to start my healing process. Do they go backward? If that's the right way.
Well, here's the thing. No matter what you do, okay, there's gonna be a time where you're going to have a PTSD moment.
Okay.
And when you have that moment, like, you're going to either snap back and continue following your routine that's going to help you stay on track, or you're going to just completely fall off the rails. And the thing is, like, how should I say this? Because I don't want nobody to misunderstand what I'm saying, but we're all going to have a pivotal point where we're going to have a bad fall, no matter how hard we try. But as long as you're setting yourself up and you're being proactive means is that you have friends in your corner, you're seeking professional therapy, you're having somebody that's going to look out for you, that's going to have your back whenever you have those slip-ups. And that person's going to do his or her best to try to remind you, hey, you need to go back to what was working for you, or mix it up a little bit. People who don't really think proactively, eventually they get stuck in a position where now they have to be reactive. And that's even worse because now it's like not only you're down on your bottomless pit, but now it's like you're on your own. And it feels like you're on your own because you didn't set yourself up to have a strong support system. You didn't set yourself up to get the help that is needed. So, by all means, do what you do to be proactive.
Alrighty. Thank you. So, Damien and then Vaughn. Damon, not Damien, sorry. Damon.
Yes, man. That's all right. Look, I'm gonna give you a pass after all these years. Yeah, I agree with M3. You have to be proactive. You have to really believe in yourself. You have to have the confidence, and it doesn't start right away. It's a process. You got to understand you dealing with this trauma, whatever it is, for this amount of time. It's going to take time. You have to give yourself time. You have to be patient. You have to have confidence. I can work through this. Or this substance abuse, like I said, if you went through domestic violence, if you're going through depression, it's a process. You didn't just get here overnight. If it's grief counseling that you need, all this is a process, and you have to do the work. I tell my people, we're going to get you where you need to be, but you have to do the work. You know me. I'm not going to track you down. My people are not going to call you. We're not coming to your house to pick you up. If I'm offering these services, and I offer these services to underprivileged young men and women. When I say underprivileged, I mean underprivileged who cannot afford it. I make sure that their co-pays are paid across the globe. I want to see you. I want to put you with the right people. If I get a phone call from someone in Chicago that's struggling with anger issues, I need me to pick up the phone and call my people in Chicago and say, look, we have John Doe here. I need to start services right away. I tell my men, there's no excuse. Underprivileged, as I'm paying for it, you need to go in there and you need to make it happen. Now, if you are working 9 to 5 or you have a substantial income or whatever, I work with everybody. You know me. I don't care what it is. I'm going to work with you and make sure you get the services that you need no matter where you live. That's why this program here, there's no excuse. That's why it's at 98%. There's no excuse. You got to do the work. If I'm doing 6 days a week around the clock with 4 phones and I'm making it happen, you can sure go in there and do your part with my clinicians across the globe. That's all.
Wow. That's awesome, man.
Like
you know what that? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying that, I definitely like that because you're pretty much nullifying all excuses. That's all I was gonna say. Sorry, Vaughn.
No. Yeah, I think that's awesome, man. You know what the setup that you have, and it's very needed. You know what I'm saying? It's very, very well needed. You know, I just wish we would see a little bit more of it in these spaces because, I mean, thousands and droves of young people are on YouTube, and you know what I'm saying? They're listening to the wrong information. So, do you have a channel, Brother Damon, on YouTube?
I don't have a YouTube, but I do. But I'm gonna be honest with you, my website, the numbers that all my people reach me for and emails. That's how we communicate. And
well, that's effective.
Yeah. You can reach me. My website, my phone numbers, and guess what? At the end of the day, guess what? You get Mr. Damon Thomas. I'll pull my sleeves up.
Awesome.
I'm the first person that you talk to get this set up. I do the first assessments in all the schools. I'll do the first assessments no matter where you're at. I come to you when it's necessary.
Wow.
This is how serious I am about this program for the past 12 years. This is what I do.
You know, I appreciate people who are in the trenches doing that type of work. You know what I'm saying? You know, and unfortunately, like I was saying, in this space, in this YouTube space, you know, I just feel like a lot of young people are running away from issues that they need to confront. And they absolutely have no good examples or any good information. You see what I'm saying? As to how to deal with it. Because they're taught focus on this and focus on that. See what I'm saying? Oh, make sure you focus on that instead of the thing that you should be focusing on. And I think it's very sad. Our young people are mm, man, they're in between a rock and a hard place, I would say, in these YouTube spaces. You know what I'm saying? And when you get somebody like Brother Damon that comes up, Damon, I'm not sure if I'm saying your name correctly.
Damon.
Okay, Brother Damon, you know what I'm saying? When you get someone like that, people might want to shun him because, you know, he's not arguing and fighting and clawing, you know, to try to have an argument in the conversation. You know, there's so many things that these young people are attracted to. It's kind of like the Pied Piper syndrome. You know what I'm saying? The Pied Piper has the pipe and he knows how to blow the flute or whatever the instrument is to wean you in and to cause you to just follow where he's going. You know what I'm saying? And his path that he's leading you on is a path to destruction. He's not even giving you proper information. And so that's why, and I don't like to talk about anybody's channel or anything like that, because I don't like to do that, because we've all seen what's going on in these spaces. You see what I'm saying? But that's exactly what's going on. And these young people are hurting.
What?
Excuse me. These young people are crying out on the inside for help. You know, and these young people are ignoring that they need help, you know, through all of the arguing and the fighting and all of this stuff, you know. So I just prayed that we could be a light in this space, you know, and I believe that this channel is a light in this space.
Yes.
Because we don't see a lot of conversations like this.
Oh,
and
no.
Just because we only have 10 people watching, you know, versus someone who has 1,000 people watching. You see what I'm saying? But you're leading 1,000 people down the wrong path. And I have a problem with that.
Me too.
I'll say this. I think it's certain things that we have to just get away from. And there's things that we have to just, you know, salute to Marcus. Marcus, I see you. You know what I mean? Salute to you, brother. There's certain things that we just have to die to. You know what I mean? We have to let go of. We truly have to just graduate as people, especially as men, to that. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is that, you know, we got to stop trying to be cool all the time. We got to stop trying to fit in all the time. You know what I mean? Drop all of that. You know what I mean? Trying to be cool, trying to fit in, trying to be something that you are not supposed to be. Leave all that alone. Leave that behind. You know what I mean? You know, leave those so-called mentalities, whether it's the hood mentality or, you know, you trying to be, you know, around people that, you know, are just gonna stay in one mentality. They're never ever going to change. If you know that you can do better, do better. You know what I'm saying? If you know that you can grow and you can elevate and you can level up, level up. You know what I mean? Stop staying stagnant to these mentalities, and we have to really get away from that. And not only that, we have to start being men. You know what I mean? Not real N-words, but real men. You know what I mean? And really stand on that. Because it's a difference. When you say I'm a real man, that makes a difference. Because now you're setting yourself aside from everything and everyone else. But when we start using those other terminologies, yeah, we're gonna, oh, I'm a fly boy and I'm a fly. I hear all these juvenile terminologies. But when I say I'm a real man, I stand on it. Oh, it's like I'm parting the waters. You know, it's a difference. You feel my footsteps when I'm walking the room. The room shakes a little bit differently when I say I'm a real man, and it's supposed to. So we have to get into that type of mentality. We have to get emotionally into that type of space. We have to get spiritually in that type of space, and we have to let go of these juvenile, destructive mentalities. We have to. You know what I mean? Because if you always stay in your boyhood, if you always stay in immaturity, as a young boy and as a youth, you always feel like you got something to prove. You know what I'm saying? You always feel like you got to show and boast and prove that you are this way or that you that way or whatever. But as a man, you don't feel like you have nothing to prove, nothing at all. And you can stand on your own square. You can like what you like. You can like whatever movies and music and books and whatever else you like, and not care about what anybody thinks about it. But we have to get to that point. We have to. You know what I mean? We have to die to this destructive mindset and culture. You know what I'm saying? And if we do that, then we can make a difference. But as long as we continue to adopt, you know what I mean? And I'm going to just call it what it is, just straight up bullshit. You know what I mean? We're going to continue to die from it and die to it. And that's really the facts. And I know sometimes we don't want to hear that. And, oh, man, yo, you lame and all this other stuff. Well, let me be lame. I'll be lame and I'll live. And we'll see who stand the test of time. You know what I'm saying? And that's all I got to say about that. I'm sorry. I'm
No.
a little out of it, but I'm sorry. My bad.
What a clapping
right.
sound effect.
I know, right?
Thank you, Mr. Intellectual. And you know, I'm sorry I'm talking, but it's time for more men to be real, like just real, and just like, let's take off this facade, let's take off the masquerade, let's just be real. You know, if those people want to die in their stuff, I'm just call it stuff, let them die in their stuff. We're gonna live and thrive over here. So, I'm gonna fall back, but I do want to acknowledge comments. And again, I apologize to this lady. I don't want to mess up her name. She said the people who are open to hear are here. That's right. Said, right, Mr. Intellectual Soapbox, a man doesn't have to prove. He demonstrates and merely shows up. That's right. Thank you so much for that. Sheila Paragon says, you will have triggers throughout life. It's how you are choosing to respond to your triggers. And therapy only works when you work it. So before we move on to peer support and professional help, M3 Vaughn, would you like to have anything to say?
Well, I don't know. I've said quite a bit now.
Okay.
You know, I might want to just fall back and enjoy the program. If you have any other questions, hey, I'm here.
Okay. Just want to make sure give everybody their time and space.
Yeah, I'm gonna fall back too because I need to cook and get something to eat. But
okay,
I just want to say, brother Damon, thank you for come up here and sharing your wisdom and your story as well too. I mean, look, we definitely need to hear that. A lot of us, man, we don't really admit a lot of times, but we do get depressed, and we don't really. Sometimes we don't even talk about it to our own fellow men. We just kind of suffer in silence and just try to deal with it or just live another day of it. So this type of talk that that we're having is definitely worth it. It's definitely educational, and I just encourage people, and that's why I put the website up there for people to click and follow. And if they want to follow the Facebook or the IG, feel free to do so. If anybody in the chat are going through some things and you want to just talk in private, hey, this is where it starts off. Mm-hmm. So
exactly, no judgment zone.
That's
no
right.
judgment zone at all.
Yeah. And bro, damn, I'm gonna definitely follow you on IG. Mine's gonna be under Oakland_84. But yeah. But thank you everybody though.
Appreciate
All
you.
right. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
guys.
Anthony. Thanks for sharing, bro. Later.
No problem, man. All right. Much love. Peace.
All right, so Damon, moving on to peer support and professional help. I tie those in together because I worked in the industry where I did peer group sessions with young ladies who were pregnant and parenting. And we also offered professional help for them in the midst of them having the conversation with their peers, because sometimes their issues were deeper and wider, if that's even the right terminology, than what their peers could handle. And by peers, we mean someone who was similar in age, ethnicity, um, your demographic. Those are your peers, people who are around you. So, anywho, moving forward, tell us how vital these two components are. Once you start going through your healing process, you definitely need professional help. I'm just gonna put that out there, and Damon can attest to that. However, but as you're going through your professional, as you're going through your healing process, talk about the vitality of peer support and then continuing that professional help in conjunction with. I know I said a lot to say nothing, but I'm sorry.
That peer support is very, very vital. You don't want to be around individuals that are negative. They're not supportive. You want a support system. You want your peers to be people that have an idea of what you're going through, and you don't have to tell them everything. But if you sit down with your peer and say, look, I'm going through some child relation, I'm going through some mental health, they should be supportive. You have some peer individuals who are not strong enough to handle it. And I get it. That's just like, why would you go call someone, I want to write a book, and they've never written a book before? So you have to know your audience. Okay. My thing is, I tell all of my clients, stay away from the negativity. Man, you don't need no therapy. You all right. The heck with them. They just want your they shrinks it. That's how they feel. You have to stay on the up and the narrow, and you want to go through a healthy self-care process. Because at the end of the day, when you get off work or doing what you're doing throughout your day, and you put your key in your door and walk into your house, you want to be in a safe place. You don't want to hear all that negativity. Well, man, why you go to therapy then, man? We're supposed to be hanging out at the bar last night. You don't need them. So your peers are very important. It's very imperative that you stick to what you believe for your self-care to get to where you need to be. Only you know, and the man up above and your therapist know what you actually need. Stay away from the negativity. Stay away from those individuals who don't mean you any good. It's common sense. And it's hard because you have family members. And my thing, I tell family members, if you're dealing with XYZ in your family, I offer the family therapy too at no charge. Because I believe if you're going through mental health issues as a man, and your wife has to deal with you every day because of trauma, she needs to come in and see actually what you're going through. And we provide that for the family as well. If it's the uncle, if it's the aunt, if it's the children. Because at the end of the day, these loved ones that's going to be around you on a regular basis need to have an understanding of what you're going through. And that goes back to your peers. Okay. I hope I answered that.
Yes, so thank you. I want to give a shout out to Alonzo Hall, who joined the chat. Thank you so very much. And everybody, so it's like however many people are watching, please go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't already. Like and subscribe and share this video with someone you feel could benefit from this information. If you missed the beginning, you definitely need to go back and watch because there was some juicy bits shared. Real, raw, juicy, relevant bits that have been shared. So please go back and watch the beginning. But
salute to the Brody Alonzo Hall, man.
See Brody.
And Mr. Thomas, I added you on IG. It's under Mr. If You Know, You Know. Also Intellectual Soapbox. Welcome. But yeah, Alonzo Hall he's a very good very good business associate that I know, man. Incredible brother. Great in real estate, great in what he's doing. Salute to Alonzo Hall, man. Okay. You know what I mean? I'm definitely working closely with him, and he's incredible. And thank you for accepting it, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for stopping. I just want to, I gotta give a shout out to my chat. They are some ride or dies around. No, I'm gonna say die. They are some riders. We won't change the narrative. They are some riders, and I want to thank the ones that come through and support every Tuesday night. I really appreciate you more than you know. I can't talk to myself on the camera all day long, but anyway, I like talking to other people as well. Oh, thank you all for coming through. But getting back, not to break the momentum of the discussion, let's get back into it. Okay, so let's talk about. Okay, I want to ask two questions. I'm the queen of questions, y'all. Okay, I'm gonna ask this one first. What happens when someone is stuck in their stubbornness and their blind complacency? It's like they convince themselves, I'm fine. I don't they other people around them see their whole world turned upside down. But they say, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm cool, I'm chill. They just want to stay stuck. Like what happens? Damon?
Brian, so Brian, you want to grab that one? Mr. Brian, say
Wait a
what?
minute. You know what? I had to step away for a second and I'm back
Okay.
now. So I didn't hear that little segment.
Okay, so there are many people who say, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm chill. I ain't got no problem. Ain't nothing wrong with me. I say they're stuck in their stubbornness or they're living in blind complacency. Um, they know it's a problem. They don't want to admit. They feel like they're fine. They feel like the track that they're on is smooth. However, everyone else around them can see their whole world turn upside down. Why is that? Or how do you intervene with people? Or do you just let them crash and burn? Like, what's that,
What?
gentlemen?
Well, you know what? Listen, and it's evident. Everybody knows I'm a Christian. I'm not perfect. I cuss a little bit, but I'm
We
just
all
saying. But listen though, there's a way that seems right to a man
Mm,
because it just seems right to a man. But the end of it is destruction. You see what I'm saying? So we get caught up in our own ideologies and we think we're going the right way when in actuality we are moving toward destruction. You know, that's why I believe the Bible talks about when it says, seek ye first the kingdom of God. And all of these these things that you desire, these good things will be added unto you. You know what I'm saying? But it's like we are caught up in this whole thing about, hey, it's all about what I'm feeling. It's all about what I feel my direction is. You see, we never go to something higher than ourselves to get that advice. And this is what has helped me heal actually
okay.
is, because I have someone higher than me that I can go to and speak to, and he speaks back to me. Now that sounds crazy, but that individual I'm talking about is the Lord, and this has been a solace for me growing up,
Okay.
So I don't know if I answered the question correctly because I had to step away for a minute, then I'm coming
No,
back in and trying to give an answer. So
there are no right or wrong. It's just your thoughts on the matter based on your knowledge and your experience. So there are no right or wrong answers. Just wanted to get your take on it. But I do have this question. Either one can jump in here. Now, again, this is not a dig at what you just said, Mr. Bryant. But there are times when people only try to church away their issues. And I have
mm,
heard and read posts by very
mm,
spiritual people, I'm not gonna say religious, but spiritual people who
mm,
say, yes, you can pray, fast, and do all this and lay it on the altar. However, the professionals are there for a reason. Even in the ancient and Bible times, there were lawyers and doctors and this and that and whatever. So God obviously put those people here for a reason. So Damon, Mr.
oh,
Bryant, which one of
I
y'all
was gonna,
wants to
I was
tackle
gonna,
that?
if I could, real quick to address what you just said. You are absolutely right. Even in the scriptures, it says that a wise man. Now you're talking about a man that's already wise. Even the scripture said that particular man, the wise man, the one who has wisdom, will always seek counsel. So this is something that we should not get away from. Just because we have accolades and we have positions and we have titles, doesn't mean that we know everything. we
Mhm.
are still going to have some type of counsel at some point. Now, where we're getting that counsel, now that's another whole nother topic. You
Okay.
see what I'm saying?
Hmm. All right. So, Damon, what say you? This is my microphone.
Oh wow. Honestly, I can't touch
Free
what
be funny.
LeBron said. I agree. I agree 120%. Woody, I totally agree. I have nothing to even add on that. I totally agree.
All right.
Wow.
And so I just want to say this. Here I
Wow.
go,
May I
being
make
a
a comment?
woman, trying to tell y'all what to do. But
May I make
you
a comment,
cannot
family?
church away. You can't pray
You
away
want to make
all of
you
your demons.
right.
I don't know if you can hear me.
You want to
I'm
make a
so I'm
you want
sorry.
to make a comment. You
No,
want
it's
to
fine. It's fine. It's fine.
I'm sorry.
Well, one, I'm gonna definitely, give a shout out to Stan Joseph for checking in.
Hey,
Thank you, brother. Say good
Stan.
evening, everyone. Good evening, brother. You know what I mean?
Shout out
Stan
to
the
Stan.
shooter, aka Hitman. You know what I mean? What's going on, Hitman? I want to say this. I think that at times when it comes to religion, or just anything that we lean on for belief, as a people, as a culture, sometimes we use that as a way to not really deal with reality.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Instead of really just dealing with it on a
Mm,
reality basis. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm,
Because
mm-hmm.
sometimes things are what they are. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And we just
yeah.
gotta deal with reality. We can't just say, oh, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
pray it away, or I'm gonna just pray for them, they're gonna be all right. No, no, no. You gotta deal with things at face value. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
I don't think there's anything wrong with meditation or prayer. I would
Mm,
never tell somebody to not tap in to those things because maybe those things are helping you, what I'm saying, in certain areas,
mm,
right? It's
mm.
helping you to maybe get over an addiction. It's helping you to possibly get over certain traumas or certain things in certain situations. And it could be any religion, right? It could be Buddhist, you can be Muslim, you can be Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen religion turn people from one form of life where they were doing a lot of things that were detrimental, taken away
Mm-hmm.
from their lives, and now doing things that are positive. So I salute that. But that doesn't mean that now you get to live, just in this fantasy world where you just doing things that are just out of the blue. I know a friend of mine who the reason why they cannot you know find things in life or even find someone to be with is because they basically and they've stopped doing a lot of habits that were holding them back, and I salute that. But in that, they've also lost themselves, and they haven't been able to find themselves within being a part of that religion. You know what I'm saying? And where they're not pursuing things and really living their best life. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And I've tried to encourage them, but they just stay stagnant. You know, and they're not willing to try and develop new things. Because here's the thing: in life, you're gonna have to take a chance, right? And even
Mm-hmm.
God tells you that you have to step out on your faith. You can't always just pray all the time. You got to step out and show that you know what I mean, have faith and that you mean something. I'm not gonna be rude to my guest, Mr. Thomas. Please go ahead. You know what I mean, I'm gonna let you
He-
share.
Oh, I'm glad you touched. Let me tell you something. You know how many calls and conversations I have with pastors across the globe. I respect them and I challenge them. I said, let me tell you something. I am not here to take over your ministry. I'm here to
Mm.
help. I said, don't call me when a young lady or a young man has committed suicide. What do you want me to do at that point? What's wrong with the clinical piece? You guys do the ministry and we do the clinical piece. That's what's missing with this whole ministry when it comes to men and women struggling with their sexuality, struggling with mental illness, depression.
Mm.
Back in the day, and I'm gonna put this disclaimer out there. I respect pastors. I really, really do. That's not what I'm saying. Back in the day, you have an issue. Back in the day, you have talk to your pastor. Going through a divorce. Oh, don't divorce. Go to your pastor. We're past that now. This is 2022. We need to get into the clinical component that these individuals from all walks of life are missing. The clinical
Mm.
piece.
My goodness.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
And I tell them, don't call me when they commit suicide. There's nothing I can do for my program. I called you. You and I have
Mm.
spoken. I already told you what the protocol is for my program. Let's get the therapy started. Then I don't hear from you till I see it on the news that 5 members in your church have hung yourself. Don't call my phone. And then that's when I get real with you. Don't call my phone. I'm too busy. I don't have time for the foolishness.
Wow.
You guys are missing the clinical component that these men and women need. Bottom line.
Mm-hmm. And if I could add something to that, I don't know if you could hear me because I changed positions. So can you still hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree with that because there is a clinical side of it all. Everything is not spiritual. Everything is not churchy. Everything is not church. Everything is not God like that. There's some natural aspects of there's some humanistic sides of our being that has to be addressed. Now, even the scriptures say, listen, deal with natural, then deal with the spiritual. But see what we do, and I agree with what my sister said, is that we church ourselves over it. You see, we church ourselves out of the situation because we want to cover it up, and as long as we can be churchy and look churchy, then we don't have to deal with our imperfections and our shortcomings. See what I'm saying? And our psychosis. Oh, there's some clinical terms we can use, ladies and gentlemen. You see what I'm saying? So the spiritual part is it's okay. But you have to understand that it's not just spiritual. There is a humanistic side. See, and God made us as such. We are both spirit and divine. So listen, we have to approach each aspect of ourselves accordingly. If it's spiritual, we need to deal with it on a spiritual aspect. But if it's natural, and some of these psychoses are natural, some of these chemical imbalances are natural, some of these bodily things that we are going through physically, they're natural. And for a person to say that, well, listen, why don't you just pray about it? Come on, that sounds ridiculous. Prayer is okay. I believe prayer works, but you have to put some feet to your prayer. In other words, faith without works is dead. So while you're praying on your knees for 13 hours, maybe you should have prayed for 5 minutes and got back up and actually put something to action for 13 hours. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, you can't church your way out of stuff. Come on. I'm just going to pray about it. I'm just going to shata about it. Well, come on. We can't do it. That's the device of the enemy. It's a trick of the enemy to make you believe that you can hook 'em a shy and everything is okay. Man, you better get up from there because listen, you serve a real God, but guess what? There's a real devil out there waiting for your demise, waiting to trip you up, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, you're right, my sister. Everything is not spiritual. It's a whole bunch of natural stuff that we need to deal with and confront, while we're trying to be so quote unquote spiritual.
Yeah.
That's why you can't deal with your children because you're spiritual. See, that's why you can't be a good steward over your money because you're spiritual. Wow, really? There's a place and a time for everything. And the scriptures talk about that. There's a time and a place for everything. So I know some people think I get on here and I try to be extra super deep and all this stuff. Listen, I'm just a regular person that sprays behind myself after I come out the bathroom.
Okay. And you have years under your belt that have afforded you the wisdom that you have, the knowledge and wisdom that you have, and the intellect to know how to utilize all those tools. So, yes, you have earned the right to be where you are and say what you say. So I honor that, and I thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you very much.
Well, listen, I appreciate the opportunity. And, by all means, I never tried to come across as, being controlling or trying to take over the conversation or anything like that. It's just, I'm very passionate about what I say at times, you know.
Well,
You know what I'm saying? And but I know that I mean well. And do I have all the answers? Come on, by all means, I don't have all the answers. I do not.
None of us do. None of us do.
yeah,
Sometimes you may ask me a question and I say, well, you know what? Let me look, don't go nowhere. Just give me a minute. Let me give me a minute to find out what the answer is.
yeah,
Let me go through some resources to figure out how to get you to the point of, understanding. Because I may not understand, I may not know. I don't know everything. And it's okay not to know everything. you know.
yeah. Well, let me
But
see.
listen, 84, I really appreciate you for allowing me to be a part of the conversation. Hopefully I was able to shed some light or whatever. And Brother Damon, man, God bless you. I got your number from the back, and I will be talking to you, because I am definitely a person that will support anyone who is putting one foot in front of the other and not just moving their lips.
Thank
Yes. Well, Mr. Brian,
So God bless you, sir.
I'm sorry.
thank you. Thank you, Mr. Brian.
If it's any consolation, you were requested by me to be here, so you are right
Wow.
where you are
Well, thank
supposed to
you.
be.
Thank you very much. And I said, well, Lord, and when I was approached, I said, well, what would I say? I don't know. I don't know everything, Lord. And I'm learning now, to just
Show up.
go just show up and trust God.
That's right.
That really, that's all we can do. Because when we get in our own way, then we trip. When we talk in our own points and talking points.
Yeah.
That's why I try to stick to the truth. But wow.
Yes. Alrighty. I want to say hello to Mrs. She Said, one of my bestie girlfriends from Ladies Night and Beyond. Thank you for checking in. So just subscribe that I was already. Good evening, good people. And Sheila says that's it. And she's given support emojis and stuff. Thank you very much, Sheila. And hey, thank you, Mrs. She Said. Alrighty. So okay, so as we get ready to wrap up, I have two more points. Yeah. So one is pandemic trauma. We don't talk about that much. There are a lot of people who went through a lot of things when they couldn't go to work, stuck at home, children at home from school, blah, 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 blah. Money getting cut off. And of course, men were affected by this as well. So I want you to talk about pandemic trauma and what you have encountered with the men that you counsel or ladies. And then let's end with some advice or steps to finally or beginning to break free from the bondage of, what is holding us down, what the trauma that's holding us in bondage, be it self-inflicted or outside sources.
Okay.
So first, pandemic trauma.
Okay, and that's one of the things that I've noticed, and my team and we noticed throughout the pandemic. There was definitely an increase in cases. Our caseload skyrocketed, particularly with the men. We're going to go back to the stigma that the men, the pressure. Oh, you got to provide. You got to do this. Not saying that we're not supposed to. We know our role, and you have some men that don't know their role. So hey, that's them. But our caseload skyrocketed so bad because now you have couples at the house. They're arguing more. They're fighting more that they never fought before because of the pressure of the financial. The male's not working. Now the load is 100% on the female. And here you go, men don't know how to cope with that. So what we had to do, we had to really dive in here and bring both male and female in and let them know, look, this is pressure times. You have lost this other income. There's a lot of mental stuff going on here. There's a lot of anger management issues going on here with your significant other. There's a lot of domestic stuff going on. emotional, mental, and physical, due to the pandemic. How do we get through this? Our job was to provide the comprehensive therapy to these men and these young ladies to get them through this. Because again, we are trained to provide, make sure the house is taken care of, make sure the kids are taken care of. So our men were struggling. They felt less than, even more so than ever, because of the pandemic. And it was major. I mean, it really, it hit a lot of homes, you know. I would say that the majority of the individuals that reached out through this pandemic, they're doing fine. We got them through it. And it's about wanting to do better despite a loss of income, despite a divorce, whatever it may be. We have to stick to what's at hand. And that's the pandemic. You know, so what do? We lost our job. So what do? Men, we got to get out there and do something else. We have to supplement it. And if we couldn't, we made sure these men were healthy. They had a better mental state, so they can stay in their home with their significant other and make it a positive environment instead of a negative environment because of the pressure. That was a test for us. I would honestly say that during that time, it was pressure. It was pressure. The pressure was on us, you know. And I owe it to these men who stood in the paint and did the work and said, you know what? I'm leaving my ego at the door, Mr. Thomas and Men of Courage. We're going to get through this. Sweetheart, hey, I know what we're going through. I'm sorry I'm yelling. I'm screaming. I'm around this house. Don't have near bit of sense, but we're going to get through it. And that was our job, to make sure they got through.
Thank you so very much. I want to, Mr. Bryant, give me a moment. I just would love to recognize Mr. Harris from the Harris Tribe Group.
Awesome.
I think I said that all wrong. Media Group, Harris Tribe Media Group.
Peace, family. Peace. How y'all doing?
Peace, God. What's going on, man?
Said to the Mr.
Peace, my brother.
So, how are you, Mr. Harris? Come back, Mr. Harris.
Thanks for having me. Great discussion so far. Great discussion.
Yeah, so go ahead and if you don't mind, Mr. Bryant, if we could let Mr. Harris have some time to share your thoughts.
I said thanks for having me. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Thank you for joining us. So I want to give you some time and space to share whatever you would like in this moment.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for having me, y'all.
Can he not hear me?
He has a delay, I think.
I can.
I got y'all. I'm with y'all.
I can hear him perfectly.
Okay, perfect.
I can hear him.
Mr. Harris, I'm giving you the floor. I'm yielding to you.
Well, I want to say great discussion thus far. Shout out to everybody, Mr. Best, Brother Vaughn, and thank you, brother, for coming and sharing with us. Is that Brother Damon?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for coming in and
thank you.
I don't know. Did he cut off?
Looking from the outside in is always a good thing.
Okay, y'all. It just slight delay.
Well, I will say this, Mr. He said and she said, excellent people. Love their perspective, love to see how they approach a conversation. I mean, man, you know what I'm saying? And you may not always agree, but they have a way of sharing. You see what I'm saying? And I love that about them. And I love the way the bond that, him and his wife are showing, in this space that you could actually have, which a lot of people aren't doing. You know what I'm saying? They're talking about marriages and stuff like that, but they're not really exhibiting what it looks like. And so I admire this brother for doing that. And, he's always somebody that I'll keep up with.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
Hey, I see you, my brother. But we've been on panels before, and You know, I just appreciate his approach to a perspective. You see what I'm saying? You know,
Mhm.
because he puts me in a position to where, and very respectful, puts me in a position to where I want to listen to what he's saying. You know, you have a lot of people that are very argumentative in these spaces, and you know, when they're talking to you right away, you're turned off. It's like you shut down. You know, but even if you, this is the kind of brother that if you disagree with him, believe me, the way that he's going to approach the topic, you know, you might not want to sleep on it. So I'll just say that. Shout out to you, brother. I'm so glad to see you.
Thank you. I appreciate that,
I
man.
gotta, I
And
gotta give him, I gotta give him your flowers too. Hold on, I gotta give him his
come
flowers
on,
too.
come on, Mr.
You know what I'm
Best.
saying? You know, listen, I always say that the Harris Trial Media Group is the realest married couple on YouTube, period. And I stand on that. You know what I'm saying? They are the realest married couple on YouTube, period. You know what I mean? You're not gonna get more realer than them. They also from Brooklyn, so you know what time it is. I'm from Brooklyn. You know what I mean? Shout out to BK, home team. You know what it is, County King and Queens. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Ain't nothing better than that, man. So I love the way that they approach, you know what I mean, the social media journey. I love the way they do Instagram, everything. You know what I'm saying? And they keep it completely real with you. They tell you the ins and outs of life, not just marriage, but of life. You know what I'm saying? And they have those conversations. You know what I mean? So a lot of times they'll be thinking, oh, what is marriage like? Watch their channel. Watch their channel, and they're gonna show you what's really going on. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't want to talk about what's going on, but they show you what's going on. Yes, sir. Best time in the house. Yes, sir. Crown Heights, Brownsville, all that, man. For a green lean, you know what we do. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you know, Mr. He said, man. Also, I also want to say, man, if y'all ever get a chance to either talk to Mr. Brian or Mr. Thomas or Mr. He said, man, you know what I mean? The word says a wise man seeks counsel. You know what I mean? So these are brothers that you definitely want to seek counsel from. I've had conversations with Mr. Brian and Mr. He said off air. They have definitely directed me in a great way. You know what I'm saying? As a younger man. And I appreciate that, man. So salute to y'all. Salute to y'all for holding the mantle as elder statesmen and as OGs, man. I appreciate that. There's a lot of brothers, they don't hold it down, but y'all do. So yeah, man.
I appreciate those kind words, and I appreciate the sister too. I'm sorry I got cut off earlier.
That's
Mental health and therapy is absolutely what helped me and us get to where we are. Just again, you know, having an outsider looking in and examining us, giving us tools on how to cope, on how to deal with different situations because we've never been, you know, in this situation before. So having that person giving an objective view and giving us clarity as a family and direction was absolutely a great thing. And you know, we advocate for it, we praise it, and we think therapy is completely awesome.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. And just, you know, to backtrack a little to give, you know, get your insight on, we've been talking about how men experience everything women experience as well. You know, you all face your own share of trauma issues, whether it's assault, physical, as Damon mentioned, physical, emotional, psychological, sexual, you know, assaults, whether it's DV, you know, through DV, or whether it's divorce, or whether it's a miscarriage, or loss of a child, or loss of just loss in general. So, can you speak from your not necessarily experience, but observation, or whatever you would? This is a this is a conference. This is a safe space. No consequences. We done already put out all the disclaimers, and nobody better come up in here with no. Because they would get dropped with quickness. So we would like for you to share whatever you feel comfortable sharing to add to the conversation. And then if you want to share how you work through, not try to get over and around and duck and dodge, but how you work through whatever you would like to share. The floor is yours.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Um, I had to come to a certain realization as far as life kind of early. I never had a dad, and I lost my mom when I was 9. So I was raised by my grandmom and, you know, aunties and uncles, but it was never really an organic care there. It was just, you know, caregiving. So I had to come to a realization that, I had to come emotionally intelligent. I had to be able to put a cap on my emotions and be able to deal with them in a certain fashion just because of the obstacles that were going to be headed my way. So I had to mature fast. I had to, grow up even faster, and just had to handle the terrain as it came along. A lot of acting out as a child, a lot of inconsistency as a young man, and meeting Mrs. Harris and, having my first child opened my eyes to becoming a more mature man, a better person than my examples and role models. How I worked through it specifically was channeling the elders that I did have. I have an older brother. He's 11 years older than me. So he's kind of like my dad. And, I had to absolutely look to him and kind of relinquish that little brother status and take on, another son to him type of status to help me see that there are more things more important than, fast money, than instant gratification. And there's a certain trajectory and a route that a man has to take to become a man. And again, once I was married and was able to go to family therapy and, become a counselor myself, and just, the stages of life just showed me that maturity and positivity would be much more of a better starting point to start a family than what I was coming up in. And then, my religious background, I am Muslim, and, we have a lot of rules that just gear us to becoming a better person every day. And that perfect storm of those things kind of, led me to this little box that I'm sitting in.
That is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. I want to ask this. Did you ever find throughout your life, as you were going through your process of becoming a man and then eventually getting married, did you ever, did you still have triggers and you had to catch yourself and like still do some shadow work, as some call it? And do you feel that at this point in your life, even though you've acknowledged you've gone through some healing or the healing process, you still have to be ever mindful that anything can set you back off or set you backwards?
Absolutely. It's no different than being an alcoholic, than being a dope head, than being a crackhead. It's one day at a time. It's a conscious decision. And I still have a couple of steps back, even though I try to take as many forward, and I might fly off the handle. I might get a little demonstrative. I might use, choice language, but nobody can quit anything cold turkey. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have those times where it's gonna happen. and as long as I'm trying to make that less every day, and I guess every day I make better mistakes, I would say. I think that's the ultimate goal for me.
Okay, and then because you're married, I'm not married anymore, and I don't know anybody else's status. I apologize. Um, for you going through, okay, one, let me ask this. Would you say you were, I don't know if we would ever fully be whole. There's always going to be fragments of us that are still, out there. But as you're going through your process of going through, what role did your wife play, or the dating and the marriage, side? What did it do for you? How did it help you? All those factors. Like, how vital was having that person that saw you, the dark and the light, and they still chose to stay with you?
Yeah, I mean, that was the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. That woman and those kids make up for all of the stuff that I went through before. That's how it's, I'm able to go through the process of becoming a better person and letting things go, because I've been rewarded for the storm that I went through. I got my light now. So, just try to make my light shine as bright as I can and go from there.
All right, awesome. And do you and Mrs. Harris, do y'all have any videos, or have y'all had these conversations where you talk candidly about what you may have endured. I'm not airing all of your dirty laundry. However, things you feel will help other couples who are either married on the verge of divorce, or who may be divorced and considering reconciling, or any stage of a romantic relationship.
Nothing speaking, directly like behind the scenes of anything we do online. We pretty much started this space as kind of like a video documentary and a testament to, our relationship, and something we could leave for our youngest daughter, just in case we weren't able to be here as long as we want to. So, we pretty much, live our life, for the most part, every Thursday at 8 o'clock, and pretty much put our stuff on social media as far as we do behind the scenes, but nothing specifically to specific situations. And we have a couple of interviews with a couple of couples that we know, and we have a mentor couple that mentors us, but we never got any like behind the scenes footage or anything, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you. So Damon, going back to you, and then we'll bring Vaughn and Mr. Intellectual in, because I want to give everybody an opportunity to share their, final 3 to 5 minutes of whatever they want to say. But Damon, do you utilize couples in your therapy sessions, or do you have clinicians who may be married, or for those couples who really want to do the work together?
Yes, I definitely have clinicians across the globe who are married,
Okay.
and we do work with a great deal of married couples who are going through trauma, going through their situation, and I really enjoy working with couples. I truly do. I tell them first, to make it work, you have to come together. I like to do them together, especially when the situation is they're going through the same issues.
Okay.
I like to bring them together. Now, I have some couples where the male may be dealing with other issues. So myself or my other clinicians, we will work one-on-one with that individual, and then we'll bring them back together
Okay.
as one. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And so, if you were to give people a cheat sheet, and this is simply a Cliff Notes, you still got to do the work. This is not going to cover all the bases. A cheat sheet, a reference sheet of how to, not even A to Z. We're going to give you A through D. We're going to go in 4 steps, maybe. Like how to really, okay, you acknowledged this is my trauma. I want to be healed. Boom. What's next?
I would say trust. You have to believe in yourself. Of course, that comes with confidence. You have to have the communication, and you have to be determined. You have to be able to want to do the work. I mean, at the end of the day, this is about you. So trust, confidence, communication, and determination to make it work.
All right, thank you. So don't go anywhere. We're gonna still have you wrap up. So, Mr. Bryant, Mr. Harris, Mr. Intellectual, 3 minutes to wrap up. Any final thoughts?
Okay, so who do you want me to go first, or?
Yes, Mr. Bryant, Mr. Harris, and then Mr. Intellectual.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, listen, I would just like to just be thankful right now for the opportunity to be in a place where I can open up and share some of these things with you all, because there was a time where I could not do that, and I don't want to take a lot of this information to my grave. I would like to share it and help some younger people that have been through similar situations as myself, to decipher and figure out how to overcome and come through and live with these situations. You know what I'm saying? Excellent show tonight. Everybody on the panel, man, Brother Damon Thomas, listen, I look forward to hooking up with you and talking, and Mr. Harris, Mr. Intellectual Soapbox, Kwabila, my God, you're always so graceful, when you do these interviews, and I really appreciate you too as well. And my closing remarks are just basically this, just figure out a way to or figure out a place to where you can open up and talk about some of these intricate inside things that you are dealing with. Don't leave it bottled up. Don't hold it. You know what I'm saying? Because it could fester cancer. You know, a lot of this trauma that we hold on to, you know what I'm saying? You know, and we hold it and we bottle it up so much, you know, to the point to where we have become ourselves dysfunctional. And it's nothing wrong with seeking counseling. You know, just be decisive as to where you go to get it and who you get it from. You know, so that would be my closing remark. And thank you again, Brother 84, for having me. And God bless everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Brian. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm sorry I was late, but it was still a pleasure to be here. I got most of the information from the back row, and then came up just to, you know, touch bases with you guys. Brother Damon, I really appreciate this information. It was very insightful. Brother Vaughn, always a pleasure to share a panel with you. And, you know, like you said, we are mature enough to if we don't agree, we can respectfully disagree and still get our words out without jumping on top of each other. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Mr. Best, you know, I love you, bro. And you keep doing what you're doing, man, because you guys are amazing. And anytime I have the opportunity to come over here, I am here. Sister Q, you are so inspirational, and, you know, be intentional is what I get from you every time. And I try to do this, you know, every day. So thank you all for the inspiration that y'all provide and the information that y'all give to people, because it's needed. You know, and let's get the ones that want to come along. The ones that don't, que sera, sera. But the ones that, you know, wanna be with us, come on, because this is where it is.
Man,
Thank you.
Exactly.
I ain't really gotta say
Amen.
nothing else, man. Like that, like literally, like I used to go on a rant and be like, I can't even say nothing. Like man, y'all took the words that I usually say, like for real. But I'm glad that y'all up here, man. I'm very honored to have y'all up here. But I will say this, yes, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, you know what I mean? We are trying to have conversations that are moving things forward. You know what I mean? We're not moving things backwards. And I know, you know, some people want to still have those, I guess, non-productive conversations, and there's a space for that. And y'all can go over there and do that. But over here, you know what I'm saying? We will have productive conversations, okay? And we are going to continue to have those productive conversations. In fact, I got something coming up with Mr. Brian tomorrow, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. All right? I just want you to experience it. Okay? It's going to be an experience for you. All right? So you're going to experience this tomorrow. And there's going to be something wonderful. It's going to be something great. There's going to be something that's going to be phenomenal. Okay? And, you know what I mean? That's what we're here to do. We're here to, you know, push our narrative and push it forward and create a space that's positive. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Brian, thank you for being here as always. You know, Mr. He said,
Yes,
man,
sir.
so dope, man. You know what I mean? You definitely a big Brody. Definitely appreciate you so much. Mr. Thomas, thank you for you know what I mean, gracing us with your presence. I'll definitely be reaching out to you a lot more. I got your information, you know, your phone number and the IG will definitely be linking up more. And QB, Conversations, you know what it is. You know how we do, family. You know what I mean? Much love. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. You know what I mean? And yeah, you know, QB, take us away.
All right. Damon, would you like to have any final words?
Wow, this is very powerful. You already know. We go back some years, and I appreciate every time you give me that call. You invite me onto your platform. It's all about making a difference. This is what I'm all about: making a difference in the world, saving souls. This is what I'm all about. This is what my programs represent. And you already know. Phone call. I'm there. You know me. I get on the road. I'm in Memphis. I'm there. So I thank you guys, Mr. Harris. I can't wait to meet with you, connect with you, Mr. Brian. Looking forward to your call, Mr. Industrial. I appreciate you as well. Awesome. When I say powerful broadcast on tonight, you guys keep your head up. Let me know how I can support you guys as well. I'm that type of person, and I appreciate you guys.
All right. So I'm going to leave you all with this quote before we check out. Every man has his secret sorrows, which the world knows not. And oftentimes we call a man cold when he is only sad. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. So I'll leave you with that. Blessings to the men. Thank you for the ladies for falling back and allowing these men to have their space. And I am grateful that you all honored my call. And we're here, and thank you for that. So this will not be the last male-centered conversation. We'll be back. I just got to come up with some more questions. Y'all know I'm the queen of questions. I'm the queen of everything. But anywho. Alrighty, so with that, I bid you adieu. Thank you for tuning into Conversations, where we have cozy conversations that feel like a warm blanket out of the dryer, or it's the medicine you need with a spoonful of honey. Y'all be intentional and have a good night.
All right. All right now. DJ.